But we begin tonight with a new ugly turn in what was already a pretty ugly political situation. The wave of angry mobs being dispatched to shut down town hall meetings about healthcare reform appears to be tacking from aggressive rudeness toward threats of violence. Congressman Brad Miller, a Democrat of North Carolina, has received death threats over his position on healthcare. Congressman Miller's communications director telling Talking Points memo today, quote, "The call to the D.C. office was, Miller could lose his life over this." Congressman Brian Baird of Washington, he'll be joining us live in just a moment, also announced that he won't be scheduling any town hall meetings over the August recess because of what he called, quote, "a lynch-mob mentality out there. There is an ugliness to it," he said. For evidence of that ugliness, well, check Congressman Frank Cradaville, a freshman Democrat from Maryland. He was recently lynched in effigy by an anti-healthcare reform protester outside his own office. Lynched in effigy because of healthcare reform. Meanwhile, the rhetoric behind the anti-healthcare reform movement is also taking a radical turn. Here's a protest outside Democratic Congresswoman Betsy Markey's Colorado office, a protest that includes a sign with the president's name underneath a swastika. Here's a protest outside a town hall meeting being held by Congressman Lloyd Doggett, Democrat of Texas, this past weekend. If you look closely at that sign there, you'll notice the Nazi SS lettering. Another of Congressman Doggett's protesters that day brought along a Lloyd Doggett tombstone. And influential Republican talk show host Rush Limbaugh is also pushing the Nazi theme, comparing on his website the Obama healthcare logo with the Nazi swastika, and devoting plenty of airtime to comparing the President of the United States and this logo for the healthcare reform effort and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to Adolf Hitler.
The Obama healthcare logo is damn close to a Nazi swastika logo. There are far more similarities between Nancy Pelosi and Adolf Hitler than between these people showing up at town halls to protest a Hitler-like policy that's being heralded by a Hitler-like logo. Oh, another similarity. Obama is asking citizens to rat each other out like Hitler did.
He's just like Hitler. And you know what that means he deserves, right? As for the actual Republican Party, the would-be responsible adults opposed to healthcare reform, RNC Chairman Michael Steele is going for the who-me approach, telling reporters that the Republican Party has absolutely nothing to do with encouraging angry town hall protests. Mr. Steele said in a conference call yesterday, quote, "We're not encouraging people to be angry. Now, some people, you know, that's how they express their frustration, but that's not something deliberately coordinated by me or any one state party." But, you know, it is being celebrated and publicized by the National Republican Congressional Committee, which is the part of the Republican Party that's responsible for races in the House of Representatives. They're promoting the disruptions of public events on their website. They're calling them recess roastings, and they're taunting the Democrats who are being accosted and shouted down at these events. House Minority Leader John Boehner on his website is gloating specifically about the way that Texas Democrat Lloyd Doggett was treated during his town halls. Congressman Doggett is the one who was treated to an image of his own tombstone, you will recall. Congressman Boehner concludes in his taunting of Congressman Doggett, quote, "It will be a long, hot August for Democrats in Congress." The Republican Party of Texas has produced a video for the front page of its website, which includes footage of Congressman Doggett being screamed at and bullied. Now, for his part, Senator John Cornyn of Texas, who is the chair of the Senate campaign arm of the Republican Party, he says he sees electoral advantage in these demonstrations of mass hostility. Senator Cornyn told the Hill newspaper, quote, "Fear, I would say, precedes anger. And I think there are a lot of people who tell me they are scared of what they see coming out of Washington. I see real opportunities for us. We've got fear, we've got anger. Frankly, we're psyched." Another congressman, another Republican congressman, is actually making jokes about the death threats and the other threats of violence against Democrats. Little-known Congressman Todd Akin of Missouri now officially has something that he will be known for.
Different people from Washington, D.C. have come back to their districts and have town hall meetings, and they almost got lynched. And so the people are so big lynchings because we don't want to do it. But the point is, people were really upset at some of this legislation.
That video was shot at a forum held by Congressman Aiken earlier this week, telling jokes about lynching and getting big laughs. And I don't want to step on the joke or anything, but I do sort of worry about threatening violence and saying it would be justified for political reasons, given even just our recent history as a country. When Dr. George Tiller was murdered in May, it turned out that his alleged killer, Scott Roeder, was steeped in the extreme rhetoric and reasoning of the extreme anti-abortion movement and their supporters in the conservative media, who vilified Dr. Tiller so harshly and so repeatedly as to make his assassination seem like a logical next step to some of the unhinged fringe of our society. On Fox News Channel, Bill O'Reilly not only attacked Dr. Tiller as a killer, but repeatedly called him a Nazi, which is a particularly resonant metaphor to people looking to hear that acting on their fantasies of violence against those with whom they disagree would somehow be seen as justified. Public figures have two options when political circumstances reach a point that's somewhere between extreme rhetoric and physical violence. You can condone the threats and then risk being seen as complicit in whatever comes next. Or you can step up and be an adult. Try to do something to restore civility. For example, to his credit, Senator